Totally eating my post-vote snack. And, I have a lot of political things on this channel. It wasn't really my intention, but it's something that we all can kind of understand. I'm sitting outside my polling place, and it's at the elementary school where all my kids go. They went, and I've been going here for the last 9, 10 years, 12 years if you count my niece's time. And it's funny. My political views are I've really taken stock in like what I believe in. I mean, I'm on a spiritual journey, so of course I'm always like questioning faith and connection, spirituality, and even my own experiences. I don't know how I do half of the stuff I do, but I do it, and I know I'm supposed to do it. It's kind of like after that, what are you going to do? But are we supposed to vote? And I think it's a legitimate question. As I sit outside the polling place and I see people that I've known for years, and the experience itself, I walked in and there were literally 8 people there to check you in and make sure you have the ballot, which in New York, we still use this what I think is an antiquated Scantron sheet. You have to fill in the bubble, you have to do all of that stuff. It just doesn't, it's weird. Oh my God, a black cat is literally walking across the street in front of me. First of all, I love my neighborhood. We have a couple of witches. It's all good. Um, they're white light generally. Um, but it's the voting thing and the American thing is really, you should feel like you've been under attack if you consider yourself an American. You should feel like things are being questioned. I can talk in quite a bit of eloquence about how Pluto's return and then now near return, we're about to go direct again. Saturn goes direct. Actually, Saturn just went direct. Like we planets are going in the right direction again. We've got to have our actions match our words again quickly. And when it comes to the voting thing, there's a real, um, you can rationalize a lot of stuff. I think we do it in spirituality all the time. We do the spiritual bypassing thing. We don't like what a particular sect of church does, so we don't go to church and we don't explore our faith anymore. And we do that spiritual bypassing. I do think that we have a patriotic bypassing of being disgruntled, and I get it, but I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to still vote. Um, Even if you don't like the candidates, and I'm going to say it this way, if we fail, people love conspiracy theories in any of this crap. And one of the conspiracy theories that I want you to think about is maybe we have gotten such god-awful, disgusting, despicable, irreverent, unqualified candidates is so we give up. Like, instead of looking at it as the cycle of nonsense eventually ending, we really kind of have to look at it like maybe there is a bit of a conspiracy about purging our want and will to live in a society like this. But we can't do this. We really have to show up and vote. And there's a dynamic here that, this is like third cycle vote, right? So you have the presidential election. The presidential election is next year, so it was 3 years ago. It's not midterms. It is literally the lowest vote turnout traditionally is that third year, right? People aren't amped up about it. You don't have midterms. You might have some special elections and that sort of thing, but they're rare. They're generally rare. So, you know what this vote is right now? This is for your assemblymen. This is for your judges. This is for your city council mayors. These are the ones that really freaking count. These are the ones that you can go up and touch. I met Bob Dole and Elizabeth Dole when he was running for president, and I say they because they really were a team. You want to look back on how to cultivate a vision and a dream. lose use of one arm and get married well. Those two are powerhouses, and Elizabeth Dole still continues to fight for Veterans Affairs. But I digress. Total shout out to her and the veterans that are doing the work, because it's an example of like, I know we can do this. I know we can actually get this shit right, right? And we have just had this disgusting, despicable, unqualified parade. And it's not a Republican or Democrat thing. It's not. Um, there's public there's public consumption of these things. My neighbor's 82 years old and he's showing up to vote. He has this flex car that he loves. He's out there. He got it 3 or 4 years ago. He polishes it. The guy takes care of quality. He's here to vote. And he's bringing his wife, and I'm sure they're going up to Babe's Diner after this and having lunch. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Like, this is small town stuff, right? But this matters to them. They probably don't know everything. Oh, he's got a walking stick. God, I love this. He and his wife, they have a pair of walking sticks. He's got one, she's got the other. He's got his Velcro shoes on. She's got hers tied. They're holding hands to walk in to go vote. Their walking stick is on either side. They look like a Mega Man. That gives me hope. We used to want change, and we didn't know what we were asking for. We just said, we want change. Change is good. And not in a democratic line of thinking, more of like a, hey, let's just have progress. Let's have it make sense. And by the way, no good solid Democrat would ever just say we need to change for change's sake. There was actually purpose for it. Like, there was growth. By the way, in defense of Republicans, they wouldn't just say we need to go back. We need to dial this back a little bit because tradition is actually good. It's a basis of society. But for some reason, we think that progress is blowing things up and creating a new reality that doesn't actually use facts. And then the Republican standpoint of it is that we blow everything up so we go back to 1940. There used to be a moderation in thought and process, and you feel it. That's actually why you're quitting. You're quitting because it's like, I'm not extreme. You don't subscribe to it. And by the way, there's still only maybe 10% on either side that's actually extreme. Maybe 15%. The bell curve still rules. Because most of us are sitting around looking at it. Some of us are a little left of center, some of us are a little right of center. And guess what? That's kind of what made us really great for a long time because we still looked at each other and said, but we're close enough. We can figure this out. These local elections are still very much middle of the road. If you have an election denier, you know what to do with them. If you have somebody that is just riding on the coattails of a president that is completely unqualified, I don't think we've had a qualified president in 4 decades. And by the way, I know people loved Obama. I know people loved Clinton. I know people found um, H. Bush to be relevant and Reagan to be progressively conservative. Um, but Barack Obama was a junior senator. The Democratic Party thought that Hillary Clinton, who was so corrupt and continues to be, that it wasn't that Bill cheated, it's that she allowed it. Like that, there's just stuff here that we're steeped in this lexicon of what's going wrong, and we've never allowed accountability. I mean, we are given people can list statistics and how people did and whatever, and it's almost all by proxy. I mean, right, Biden rode the wave of us not being on a pandemic. Trump rode the wave on cutting back and actually not applying it. So it's like Oh, and then we forget that like Obama bailed out the biggest bank snafus ever done, and that is coming back to bite us in the ass again. We don't know what leadership is anymore. But in these local elections, there's two guys that are running for ward. The city I live in is divided up into wards. And by the way, I know both guys. I know them. I've shaken their hand. I've said, "Hey, what's going on?" One guy has done, particular service to, as a firefighter. Another one has done particular service in the political arena and volunteerism and that sort of thing. They're both generally good guys, and on a ballot, you kind of go like, all right, we can't really go wrong. And I sat there for a second, and I'm like, I can't go wrong with these two choices. Meanwhile, when I look at a national thing, and I shake my head, and I go, these two aren't even qualified. Oh, and by the way, my two local guys probably aren't qualified either, I guess, but they figure it out quick, right? Find a smart guy that can show up for appointments and whatever. Have them show up to all the council meetings. Step one. Step two, have some opinion, some agenda about how they go about it. And by the way, one is decidedly more conservative. One is a little more democratic, but I'm in a very democratic town. It is 87% Democrat, 84% Democrat now. And there's like 11% um, Republican, and the rest is registered independents. And um, in a world of like public knowledge, I got a message from somebody a couple of weeks ago. Penny and I had done a whiskey and bagels, and they just ripped me for being a liberal, whatever. And they had looked up that I was a registered Democrat, and the reason why I'm a registered Democrat has little to do with philosophy, because Lord knows I have my own. Um, it's because I live in a town where the primary decides the mayor elected. Like there's only one mayor on the ballot today, and it was decided back on primary day. Now there's about six people that want to be written in, and good luck. There's a former mayor that was convicted when he was in office, and we all grew up with him, and we all went, "Really? You want to be mayor? All right, that's cool, Moose." And then we've got we've got other people that are also, they volunteer at this organization, that organization. They have reputation, but you know people to be able to conceptualize what actually goes on and how to run a city, it takes a certain skill. Like, you can't just show up and be like, and I'm going to pave this road, and I'm going to whatever. Like, you got to be good at numbers, you got to be good at things. And there was a friend of mine who ran a few years ago, and by and far the most qualified person to run a city. He understood how to do grants. He understood how to fiscally balance things. And I watched him get ruined because he didn't play a political game. He didn't. He was the nicest guy. I went to school with him, his wife. He married his hometown sweetheart, and he's just a good person. Like, he ran the soccer league. Like, he took it from 45 kids to 140. Like, he's that guy. He's that guy that figures it out. And we didn't value it. We didn't value it. No, you know what we valued? We valued somebody smashing and bashing and anger and whatever. It's that thing in spirituality when we say, if you try and dim somebody else's light, it doesn't make you brighter. That is the entire political arena by and large. Like, we think that, and we watch it. We watch people get belittled. We watch people get shunned. Watch people get shamed, and usually for the smallest things. And having been the subject of a smear campaign once upon a time, I laugh about it because I realize how much is not based in reality. And maybe I needed to see that to know the difference. But these are actually the votes that matter, guys. I mean, say what you want about the political thing, and I could go off on the Electoral College, which is complete and utter outdated bullshit. It is outdated bullshit that I just filled out a Scantron sheet and put and fed it through a machine. Hanging chads, anyone? How many elections can we steal this decade, this century? But we've got an idea that is pretty good, and it's got a level of corruption that let us sit there and get sick. We get sicker every day. And it's not because of the Republicans and it's not because of the Democrats. It's because we're not buying into the vision that allows us to become who we're meant to be. This country's got a great fucking idea. We have a chance to be world leaders, and not in the way of like, this is ours, we're going to take it. You mean to tell me that if we had a strong military or we had a strong backing and a strong presence, and we really actually even started to look like we knew what we were doing, Ukraine would even remotely happen? The Gaza Strip would remotely be an issue right now? And now they're coming out. They're not holding hands. I think she's a Democrat and I think he's a Republican, but they're making it work, everybody. Not too many Republicans on the ballot here in upstate New York. And the conservatives, by the way, voted conservative lines. It's funny. I was registered a Republican, and I've told this story before, but it's kind of a funny story. It was how somebody took my power. So we were doing a vote thing, and I was turning 18, and I was eligible to vote. And we had this thing at school, and he took her walking stick and put them together, and then used them both because he needed to. Put them in the back of the car. It's in a shiny red machine, and off to Babes they go. By the way, total shout out to Babes Diner. I've been there forever. Great food. Like, find a hometown greasy spoon and just love them to death. Because they're going away. They can't figure out how to do it because we can't figure out how our costs have gotten so out of control aside from paranoia and price gouging. But anyways, and I'm there, and I'll never forget the kid. And he's a kid, and I could say his name, but um, he was a dick. He was an absolute dick. His father was very political, and he literally sat there and said, "Put your name here, and I'll fill out the rest." And he said, "Well, I want to understand the process. Like, I'm new at this. I'm an excited voter. I'm now officially an American if I could vote." So I'm getting all excited about it, and I go up there, and then as it turns out, he just says, "Yeah, put your name right there," and then everything else is filled out. I was a registered Republican with a stroke of my pen. And when people talk about voter fraud and registration fraud and all that other shit, no, he's a dipshit kid, right? Like he's 18. He could hide behind the I didn't know any better, but he kind of did. Came from a political family. And this was at a time when the Pataki administration, Republican, and they were just tied to some politics. And I am seeing the Canadian geese fly overhead. There are three geese flying overhead. Oh, by the way, Signs from Loved Ones is a free complimentary class. All you have to do is register. I am going to have to limit it because of my content space, and I'm going to tell you that it's already half quote sold out. I haven't even really announced it or talked about it, let alone done a video. Well, I did do a video. Pretty spot on. I kind of like the new way of going. Oh, and here's my kid's speech teacher. She's working on election day. Well, I think it's the superintendent day. But anyways, it's a again, small town stuff, right? Kind of cool. Um, do sign up. I am limited in space unless I turn it into a full um, workshop type of thing. I forget what they call them, but right now it's still a class size. So hurry up and get in. Haven't quite decided. Maybe I'll do another one, because of the success. But anyways, it will sell out. It's more than halfway full, and I haven't even promoted it. On the other side of that, I also want to share with you that um, why politics also doesn't matter all at the same time to me. I don't get hung up on this stuff. And I do have strong opinions, but they're formed opinions. I'm just not throwing darts. Um, it was funny, the person that accused me of, I think it's funny, but I also think it's incredibly insensitive, which is why they use the word libtards or whatever. But I thought it was funny. I'm like, I'm actually, I'm the guy that wants to see her balanced checkbook while I'm going to go marry your sister and her lesbian wife. And by the way, it is very, if anything else, and probably very libertarian, because I actually think that fiscal responsibility leads to um, opportunities and growth and that responsibility to take care of other people, which is what I think we're born into this world. Okay, not the best park job. A couple of dents in the fender, starting to learn a lot. My neighborhood, another person with a cane. The elderly population is coming out. These are the people that are deciding our future right now. Just to let you know, people with canes. If you're under the age of 50 and you didn't vote today, you're kind of an asshole. And by the way, when you don't have that option anymore, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. This is why I've literally sat here and I've watched about 15 people go in and out. None of them are under the age of 40, let's say. None of them. I know I'm rambling. But what I learned on that day when somebody else registered me was, I should probably look into that. And then I came to find out that even in my household, my parents were split. I didn't think they were split. I thought, well, of course you would vote this way. And then lo and behold, as I kind of rolled up my sleeves, I'm like, I'm on a winning team right now. I'm registered Republican in 1990. Like, shit's getting real, man. And then on the other side of that, I started to realize and recognize that, if I peeled back the layers a little bit, I could kind of see both sides. And then I started to recognize that people needed to realize that they needed to make up their own mind. And then here's the principal coming in on a teacher's day where they were off doing their stuff, their whatever, and she's coming in here to do work, and that's freaking leadership. The principal of the school is absolute dead on balls leadership. Sorry. Like, that's leadership. She takes conflict and she deals with it. She takes interaction seriously. She has done, and I've worked with her personally, slight bias, did mindfulness in the classroom work with her, but I saw it up close how she does conflict resolution. And she really truly works in a utilitarian way, but also in a very nurturing way. That's leadership, everybody. She's put in charge of a school and has only grown it. And it's not just because of population. That's leadership. That's the crap we need leading this country. Not people that are going to rhetoric and point the finger and try to break down other people. It's actually a spiritual event if you do this political work the right way. And the reason why it's spiritual is because it's purposeful. By the way, you don't have to be in charge to show leadership. That's a lesson that I really pulled out on this. That was something I really truly began to understand that, what, people are given the choice, the option, and ultimately the bravery to become who you are meant to. And I just watched the fourth grade teacher walk in. Leadership committee, everybody. The fifth grade teacher might take over the world, just to let you know. She gets those kids ready for middle school like you've never seen. Like, writer's cramp, good luck with that. Or you're going to have to shake that out because over there at the middle school, you're going to do twice as much. She does a little like tough love scare tactic and she's brilliant. Love her. Love AD. Love AD all day. And she's one of those people that she's not difficult for difficult sake, but she's difficult because she lets you know that she cares. And again, it's how you do compassion. Our political system has lost its compassion. We have charity and we do stuff for votes. We lose votes, we look for votes. That's not how to do it. By the way, the two guys that are running for the ward, they started kissing ass a little bit. I don't disagree with it. I mean, you got to shake hands and kiss babies, not the other way around. You're not supposed to kiss hands and shake babies, except for, and that's why I'm not a politician. Anyway, so the flavor of the day for me on election day is in these local elections is actually where it counts. It's actually where you have control. Spend your energy and your anger on where we are in the world and the place that we exist, but know that you don't actually touch that narrative. Know that it's simply an opinion. You might as well have an opinion of the 1850s France, right? You might as well have an opinion on Napoleon, for Christ's sake. You don't actually touch it. You can't actually control the outcome or even be a part of where you're supposed to go. But you can touch your council member. Wait a minute, that came out wrong. You can have a discussion with your current mayor. You can talk to your assemblymen. As a matter of fact, I'm actually doing something with the state senate in a couple of weeks, and I'll share that down the road. My students know what's going on, but I have very strong opinions about whether Reiki should be regulated by state aid or otherwise influential for payment information. It creates a standard that actually crushes the essence of what Reiki is, and that is that it sometimes is free, and sometimes you do charge, and sometimes you do take notes, and other times you let the ether take care of it. To standardize something like Reiki is actually it's devastating to an industry that doesn't really exist. They're trying to regulate something just for control's sake in the state of compassion. And by the way, it lands its roots in the Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare, if you will, because he put in a very specific thing to pander to the spiritual community to say that Reiki and other wholeness and wellness services would be able to be billed by Medicaid, which is a great idea until you try to apply it. And if anybody wants I will cut to the bottom line, Chase. If you want to do Reiki sessions for 1250, great, go do it. Just start charging 1250 and don't tell anybody. But the billing component, oh, and by the way, wait 89 days to get your 1250. It's there's so much systematic crap in there. Um, this guy was her ride, but he's not voting. That's interesting. That is interesting to me. Oh, I'm seeing some of these here. Um, totally gonna see this. By the way, I hope you like my glasses. Some people say it's a little feminine, and I say they work. Nicolaki, yes, on both sides. Hey, Trish, how are you? Um, you got to have some skin in the game. Well, you have some skin in whether you vote or not. Still your country. Um, these are the most important elections. Yes. Um, vote blue from bottom to top. I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I mean our Constitution is definitely under attack, but there is the Lincoln Foundation. There are also the Federalist judges. I mean, there are conservative movements that could preserve this with equilibrium of a voice, but I still don't know how our Supreme Court was able to overturn a 50-year precedence with zero precedents before and then use a British rule of law to overturn Roe v. Wade. We might as well talk about building number 7 falling down if we're going to talk about that. This is how conspiracy theories are born. The bullshit that of like self-deprivation, right? It's kind of fun. I'm sure we got some more here. Um, yeah, there is compromise in the lexicon. You get those. Here's my neighbor, and then the last guy is the con, and has been a good businessman. Added trillion, chain million trillion. Yeah, nothing like a few facts, right? Um, his daughter was getting patents for body bags and coffins while Americans were dying. Well, of course, of course. I mean, isn't that what we're taught? And by the way, there is, if you want to go back, go and see an interesting video. I'm going to go back and watch this. Um, I actually think Liz Cheney is a primer for some stuff coming. Because everything the Republican Party is doing right now is not sustainable. Same thing with the Democrat, but one issue at a time. Liz Cheney is breaking family cycles because, and again, it's she might have started out doing it because it's like you're messing with my daddy's legacy, our legacy of being able to tell people what to do, how to do it, and create a narrative. This is my Wyoming voice, by the way, and create a narrative where you know what, we're just going to tell you like it is, and you're just going to eat it up. Yum. We couldn't have stopped those terrorists. Dick Cheney orchestrated 9/11. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist about it. But when you have a ridiculous number of facts that point to why would you stand down planes? Why would you create exercises the way that he did on the other side of the country? Like none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. Oh, and by the way, because of the weak leadership of name branding only, aka the Bushes, it's pretty clear he didn't have any leadership. He just said name brand. He's a nice guy. He's somebody you want to have a beer with. And that's all I want to do with him. There was no leadership. This country has lacked leadership. It has been the underbelly that has been the leadership. It is the pawn game, everybody. That's the stuff I'm talking about, where the council member that's about to get voted in isn't a puppet. They had to dig into their pocket and pay the $1,000 to get registered. They had to pay the $500 and do some shitty fundraiser over at the Ukrainian club and get $1,000 in the bank so he could get some signs up. That's leadership. If you can do that, that's a step in the right direction. That's how this country was formed. On people saying, I care about this enough, and that's where money can go. Not necessarily money being siphoned. I just lost a like. It's kind of funny. A few more comments here. Yes, running to vote today. Rakasha, thank you so much. You always vote primaries and general elections. Yes, yes, yes. Merciful Mermaid, good to see you. Oh my gosh, I miss you. You're in Canada. Well, and listen, Canada has similar challenges too. Um, I love that. Magical Mermaid. Apparently, this is like the Mermaid Channel. I'm okay with that. Um, I am a Pisces. Anyways, um, some people didn't have the game of life growing up. They only had Monopoly. I love that line. The U.S. is being called the richest in the world. Such a misnomer. If they were truly rich, they would take care of the less vulnerable or the most vulnerable. Yeah, totally agree with it. I can do a whole thing on housing. Um, Regulating indigenous measure. Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's a slippery slope of what would be allowed down the road because then you would also have what's next? What's next? Eastern medicine? What's going to happen next? Essential oils? And listen, I think you essential oil people are fucking nuts. Excuse my French. You really are. You're part of a cult. However, the medicinal purposes that go on with this when it's administered correctly, amazing, fantastic. Can't complain about the product, but I can complain about your structure. Okay, if you have an upline, you're doing business. You're not doing healing. Um, Sorry, I said it out loud. Um, but I think that there's a dynamic to it. And by the way, shame on the MLMs like that, because that's why government thinks that holistic energies can be, mastered. And by the way, this is also from someone, by the way, 11 on the channel and 11 likes. Mwah! Um, and I know it was 11:11 10 minutes ago. It was 11:11 11 minutes ago. Look at that. Play with the numbers, everybody. Um, But it's a slippery slope of that stuff. And essential oils were basically like, hey, we can regulate this. And there was some regulation that needed to be had, but you tried to figure out how to pay for it. And true to form, I'm going to own some of this too. When I first got into this work, I thought I needed to create the lexicon of opportunity. I thought I needed to be that leader that would have a 2,500 square foot space and have 30 practitioners with the standard, with a camaraderie and a I lost my sticker, my vote sticker. Can we talk about the outbreak of typhoid? Um, the hell was I talking about? But we have to protect what's ours. You know, there was and I'm going to reach out to them. There was this woman who owns this crystal slash head shop, and she does tarot readings. And listen, owning my own space, I'm here to tell you. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I'm open for sure, I can do that. You're like, oh, you might have been able to pay the rent, but you didn't eat this month. Like you have stuff like that when you own a small business. And by the way, support your local crystal shops. I'm going to be down in Memphis. I'm going to be down at Astoria Wellness and Aesthetics. They're sponsoring me to get down there. We're going to have a great time. The message circle has about 10 seats left. The masterclass is sold out. The workshop is full. I'm just telling you, taking it on the road, hitting below the Bible Belt. I'm going to go talk to Elvis. I'll tell him you said hi. Anyways, I digress. I digress so much I forgot what I was talking about. I think the purpose as to why I came onto this was to give some commentary with the idea that if you don't vote, you don't have hope. If you believe in this country at all, if you believe in the structures that we still need, that we're born into, go vote today. And by the way, if you don't know the people on there, do the best you can. Do a little Google search beforehand. There's probably something out there about your candidates. Do the best informed decision that you possibly can, and do not mail it in. Do not bullshit yourself or the process. Do not do the spiritual bypassing of, I don't know the candidates well enough. Shut up. None of us do. You know why? But that's kind of by design. Go with your gut feeling. Go ahead and use your intuition and say, I kind of want to go for this guy instead of this guy. Fill in your Scantron sheet, run it through, and get your vote in. That's kind of important. Do you ever think that you would be the critical mass that a country needed? I'm kind of sort of getting there, everybody. All right, guys, I'm going to give you the hard taps. Click on the link below. Go to tbrandonruss.com. Register for the Signs from Loved Ones. And I'm going to see you guys next time. Coming to you live from a polling place in America. Remember to vote. This shit still matters, guys. It's coming back around and it'll be relevant again. The leaders are actually in the voting booth. I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everybody. Wow, look at all those comments. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fantastic. I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everybody. 38 minutes and 2, 3, 4, and 11 seconds. See ya.